Topics we haven't really discussed or covered yet. Of course, the situation with Michael Vick. Is he going to be prosecuted? What is going on with that situation? That is question number one that is going to be imposed to you. The next question that we have, of course, what is going on in the American League as far as Major League Baseball? We've got some heated up rivalries coming up. We've got, of course, the Detroit Tigers who've been out on the West Coast and have just had a hideous series, not just one, but two series as far as that. What's going on with them? Of course, the Boston Red Sox. Great acquisitions that they basically made as far as the mid-relief pitching with Texas and Eric Gainey. What is going on with that situation? Is Boston coming out of course, the American League and going to get the American League pennant? Or are we going to have a run with the Tigers? And also, let's put into the equation now the California, or let's say the Los Angeles Angels, who is playing absolutely great ball. Talk to me on those subjects. The first one, of course, Mike Vick.
Mike Vick. Well, stupidity has to rule in that situation. You got an equation where you got a man making more money than most of us. I think he's getting $7 million a year as a salary. And whether he knew about the dog fighting or participated, the one thing is true that they used his house. And if he didn't know what was going on in his own house or one of his houses, then he's in trouble anyway. I think they'll probably, just because of the fan base that he has and just because of the star that he has, the star status, I think he'll probably get off on some lower charge. But believe me, he's going to be indicted, or already has been indicted. It's just a matter of time to see what kind of sentence he gets for his participation in this.
So your point is he's going to be prosecuted?
Oh, absolutely.
Now let's look at Mike Vick for a second and look at landowners. Every particular landowner does not know exactly what goes on at their property. It's a simple fact. We can call it carelessness or whatever. But the situation is a lot of landowners do not know. And no one basically slaps them on the wrist the way that Mike Vick is being slapped on the wrist. Matter of fact, it's not even a slap on the wrist. This is a career-changing event right here, to the point that he may no longer have a career in football alone. He's lost several endorsements. So how is it? Is there a double standard with this situation with Mike Vick, or is the fact that he had something to do with it really coming up, or is there evidence that he had something to do with it? What's going on with that?
Well, we don't know about the evidence yet. That's yet to be determined. But I think the key of the matter is, you look at the Kobe Bryants of the world. When he got in trouble with the young lady having consensual sex together, look where it put him. He lost his endorsements as well. I see the same thing happen to him. If Michael Vick can keep a cool head and is innocent, I think he'll prevail out of this. He'll get the endorsements back. He'll get his fan base back. He'll be able to start again for his team. But if he has some involvement in it, they're going to prosecute. And just like it did with Kobe, they took him to the wire, and his career did make a turnaround. But of course, Kobe being the star that he is, he was able to humble himself up, admit that he did it, continue on, and become a very bright star in the NBA.
Talk to me about, of course, the heated games and the heated rivalries that's going on in the American League. Is looking fantastic right now. You got 4 or 5, you got probably 6 teams that really have a chance to make the playoffs, and you have 6 teams that can go, of course, and represent the American League in the World Series. So talk to me on that issue. What's going on?
Well, the deciding factor in all of this is going to be pitching. One thing that everybody has, they have people that can hit, they have people that can catch the ball. Pitching is going to be the deciding factor. I think the Tigers, for a change, has a decent bullpen. Just like last year, they were able to make some acquisitions, got Verlander and all that, and they were able to make some decent acquisitions. Right now, I think, just like you said about Boston, they have some good pitching that they've been able to acquire. So look for them to come up, but I think it's going to be a 2-man race, probably 3. I think it's going to end up being Detroit, Boston, and California in the finals, and we'll see who can come out of that. I think it's going to end up being, with pitching being somewhat similar, if it goes down to the wire like that. I look for the Tigers and California to be in some sort of playoff together.
Fantastic. Of course, we've got the situation. We got to talk about this. Kevin Garnett, the big trade. Kevin Garnett right now is on the Boston Celtics, and it's going to do some great things. Kevin Garnett is a perennial player. This man can not only just score, but he is a person who is relentless on the boards. He is going to really add something to it with Ray Allen, of course, and Paul Pierce. What do you look at, or what do you foresee in reference to the Boston Celtics and the Eastern Conference as a whole? Are they going to be...
Ball guy in this case. It was ironic that when his home was actually visited, that was not the intent to find, some regards to dogfighting. And of course, once it was found, of course, he has to step up and take responsibility. But at this point, I think it's taken a little bit out of context. Sure enough, it's a crime that is pending or something that was illegally done. But I think too, he's going to find a way to still allow him to play. I think this situation is going to be kind of blown over in a very short period of time. Sure, he's going to go this route. I think he's going to be found innocent of the charges. He might pay a fine or whatever the case may be. And I think football is going to continue on as usual. He might not necessarily have an adequate spot with the Atlanta family at this point, especially with the fan base. If he's found innocent, things might change. But if it's just that, he pays a fine and life goes on, he might not be looked at in a real high regard as far as fans are concerned. So with that in mind, I expect that situation to really end itself in a very short period of time.
Fantastic. You've heard, of course, on Real Deal Sports. That's the take on everything right now. And we're just telling you, of course, to go to bofwebtv.net, of course, with that free computer. And we're going to just take it away from there. Have a good, wonderful, great day. Real Deal Sports. Bye-bye.
I'm concerned with Michael Vick. I think it is kind of personal. As in our country, until proven guilty, you should be innocent. There's some things that are going on his property that he may or may not be aware of. But until they prove it in court, I feel like he should be left. He should be able to play. He's a distraction, they say, to his team right now. And they don't want him on the team or in the field because you got animal activists and other people who are picketing. And so right now, I think with that Mike Vick story, I think it has become a little personal with the people.
Fantastic. What about Kevin Garnett? What's going on with that situation right now? Is Kevin going to be a major impact player for the Boston Celtics? Are they coming out of the East, or is this going to be another mediocre team?
Well, I think with KG on the team, they got to at least make the playoffs. KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, they got a good front line, which they've been lacking since Bird retired pretty much. So Boston, I'm looking to see probably become a competitive for the Eastern Conference Championship as well as with Cleveland.
Fantastic. Of course, we got Major League Baseball. We have so many teams up there in the hunt right now. The Tigers been in somewhat of an actual slump, but they still are in first place by one game over the Cleveland Indians because Cleveland, of course, continues to lose. What's going on, of course, in reference to New York Yankees, who are starting to pull up a little bit right now. They may squeak in and make the wild card, but Boston just made that acquisition as far as the mid-range pitching with Eric Gainey out of Texas. So who's going to really come up and be the front runner in the American League? Who do you pick as far as coming out of the American League and representing the American League in the World Series?
Well, I'm looking at the Tigers to repeat. They're in a little slump right now, but like you say, they still got a one-game lead. Their pitching is not as good as it has been in the past. They got a few people on the injured list. I think right now is a good time to slump a little bit in the season. Out of a 182-game season, which is a hell of a long season, I think you should look for them to skid a little bit. Hopefully, going into September and October, they'll pick up the pace.
Fantastic. All right, we heard it from Mike, of course, of Real Deal Sports. You got it right here. Of course, give us a hoot and a holler at bofweb.tv. Of course, you want that free computer, bofwebtv.net. Get that free computer. As far as that, we're here for you. This is Real Deal Sports. Bye-bye.